And good morning. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back on this Monday morning. It's great to be with you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I managed to go to a big swap meet, automotive swap meet in Decatur, Texas, and had a great time. About froze to death on 2 of the mornings. Wow, it was really cold. And outside this morning, we have black ice. Was lucky to get into the office. Got to go back and get my wife. Take her to work this morning. It's really treacherous. Anyway, I hope it's nice where you are, because it is slick where I am. Well, my name is Don K. Preston. This is what I call my morning musings, and we are in the midst of a study of the eschatology of the Books of Thessalonians. And what we're doing is we are actually headed to spend some time on 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. But in order to get there, in order to set the proper context for our study of 1 Thessalonians 4, we're looking at the passages prior to it and after it that deal with eschatology to see if there is one united narrative. And we have seen thus far that there is. Now, we're in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Paul had to write to the Thessalonians to say to them, don't let anyone convince you that the day of the Lord has already come. Remember, I'm making this very special offer on my book, The Hymenaean Heresy, Reverse the Charges, and How is this possible? Posing the question, investigating it from Scripture, if the Orthodox Church has been right all of these centuries that the day of the Lord is a time-ending, earth-burning event, when every decomposed body that's ever gone into the grave comes out perfectly restored, how could anyone believe it had already happened? Get these 2 books. Go to my websites, eschatology.org, bibleprophecy.com. Order the books. Mention that you saw the offer on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. You see, because Paul said that day, the day of the Lord, the gathering that he's been discussing, that day would not happen unless there first would appear the man of sin. In order to catch the full power of what Paul's saying, here's what we have to understand. We have to understand that there is a complex of end-time events, both in Jewish eschatology and in Jesus' eschatology, that in this case, insofar as the items themselves, insofar as the subjects themselves, they agreed. Now here's what I mean by this. In the Old Testament, you have the predictions of the Great Tribulation. You have the predictions of the Abomination of Desolation. Well, guess what? Those topics are absolutely inextricably bound up with the doctrine of the man of sin. And here's what you need to see. You've really got to catch the power of this. While my amillennial and postmillennial friends try to draw a distinction between the Abomination of Desolation and the Great Tribulation and the resurrection, in the Bible, those items, those tenets are absolutely inseparably bound up with one another. You cannot divorce the Great Tribulation from the resurrection. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, at that time there shall be great tribulation such as has never been. Verse 2, those in the dust of the earth shall arise. Likewise, Isaiah chapter 26, in verses 11 and following, you have the prediction of Israel being in birth pangs. This is the Great Tribulation. But in verse 19 and following, guess what? You have the resurrection at the day of the Lord of verse 21. This is absolutely critical. Let me reiterate this. The man of sin, the abomination of desolation, and the Great Tribulation are all tied together with the resurrection. Thus, when Paul is talking about the man of sin, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, he is also talking about the day of the Lord, the time of the resurrection. And that leads us back to the question, how could anybody believe it had already occurred? And here's the kicker. Jesus, of course, said the Great Tribulation, i.e., and the Abomination of Desolation, which means the man of sin, were all to be fulfilled in his generation. But what does that mean? That means the resurrection of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 was to be in the first century. Hey, we've got a whole lot more. You don't want to miss it. Go to the websites, order the books. In the meantime, we'll see you on the flip side.